unique, cool, distinctive. When people see it coming, they know it's a Corvette. That's how vet owners talk about their favorite sports car. It's a total package. They like the way it looks, the way it handles, and the way it sounds. Get ready. America's love of the Corvette starts right here. Carlisle Events CEO John Dietrich had the chance to speak with retired Corvette Chief Engineer Dave McClellan.
What's it like being involved with the whole generation of cars and I guess leading into this next generation?
The Corvette is a wonderful phenomenon. There's nothing else quite like it. Once the car became established in the late 50s with the cars that Duntov engineered, it really took off. That's what we're seeing today.
Interest in Corvettes has never been hotter. Fans come from all over the country and around the world. If you're a vet enthusiast, you already know that Corvettes at Carlisle is the premier event of the Corvette hobby. It's the place to show off your finely tuned restoration, track down a hard-to-find part, test your grunt on the dyno. Well, we'll get into all that in just a minute. First up, the car everybody was talking about.
Well, a highlight this year, obviously, is the 2006 V06. 505 horsepower, 7-liter, 427, aluminum frame, race car technology for the street. The power-to-weight ratio is the highest naturally aspirated V8 horsepower engine in the world right now.
The engine in this Z06 that I drove up here, it is virtually the engine that won them all 4 times in the last 5 years. So we think that's the winning formula right now, is to be able to get 7 liters of displacement out of a very light, very compact engine that's simple, very reliable, very straightforward. It makes the Z06 the best Corvette that there's ever been.
When you look at the Z06, and it really has muscles, it's got tone, it's got personality, it's tough. You look at it in your rearview mirror as it approaches you, and then look at the tail lights when it passes you up, because typically that's what you're going to have happen to you. You know indeed that you have just been passed by one of the most awesome floor-mile Corvettes that ever drove off a factory line.
How fast are we talking? David Hill, recently retired chief engineer, gives us an idea.
We actually had Jan Magnuson, who had come from Le Mans, and he came over to the Nürburgring track, and we put down a lap of 7 minutes, 43 seconds. And that, in the world of supercars, is just a fantastic accomplishment. Like, you can about count on 1 or 2 fingers the number of cars in the entire world that can do a better time than that. And the car was so quick and the sounds were so outrageous that people were speculating it was this mythical Blue Devil which appears here and there in the Corvette mythology. In fact, it was the car that we're building in Bowling Green now. It's the 2006 Z06. It happened to be blue.
No surprise here. Innovation is the hallmark of the Corvette brand. Every year, the engineers and designers push the edge of what's possible.
What happens with Corvette is we will do a lot of different technologies on Corvette, and then that eventually will translate to our other production cars. For example, Corvette was the first vehicle in GM to have anti-lock brakes. Now you see anti-lock brakes on all of our products. So an example of what happens with a Corvette in the Z06, just last year, this generation Z06 had 405 horsepower. Now you see on our 6th generation car that base car is now a 400 horsepower car. So we just keep upping the ante with our Corvettes, and we keep passing it along to our other brands as well.
Now, what percentage come here for the pure aesthetics? The improved sound, the coolness of the system, and what percentage really want the performance?
I would probably say it's 80-20. 80% people just want to look cool and sound cool, you know, and 20% are looking for more, you know, die-hard hot rodders.
20%? But this is the Corvette we're talking about here. Isn't it all about power?
Power is in vogue, and it's really going the right way.
Mike knows his stuff. At this year's event, he and Carlisle event manager Lance Miller showcased the other most talked about car at the show.
It's the C-Cube 6. It's dubbed Carlisle Callaway Corvette. And the car is absolutely amazing. What we did was, last year I decided, okay, I want to kind of go out and get a feel for what I can do with a brand new car.
What a wild project. The idea was to build a 10-second car that you could actually take that car, go to a drag strip, run 10 seconds, go to an autocross, run fastest time of day, and then take that same car and drive it to dinner. And so now a year hence, we've come full circle. And the car is run 10.7 at 128.6. It's competed twice in 2 Corvette autocross events and taken top honors in both events. And it's a great driving automobile as well. And that's one thing that was kind of important to us as an engineering company. It's not only to make the horsepower, that's the relatively easy part, was to make it so that it's it's drivable, it's reliable, and can do everything that a proper road car should. And that's the real statement of this car.
New or old, Corvettes demand high prices.
Two things happen in a hot market like this. People that never envisioned selling their cars will offer it for sale. Yeah, the prices are high, but for buyers, it's the only time you can ever buy a great car. There's 2 types of buyers. There's nostalgia buyers. That's us old guys that remember what we used to have. The next set of buyers are legend buyers. That's the 35-year-old kid that's done good, come into some money, and he's not buying what he remembers. He's buying a legend, what his dad and his uncle told him about.
Next, we'll remember a true giant in the Corvette hobby, car collector and Carlisle Events co-founder, Chip Miller. In 2004, Carlisle Events co-founder Chip Miller died of a rare disease known as amyloidosis. Chip was a longtime Corvette enthusiast and created the Corvettes at Carlisle event so he could share his love of the hobby with other fans. After Chip's death, his son Lance took over the planning for the Corvette show.
Everybody comes up to you and says, we miss your dad. We love him. He was the greatest guy in the world. I can't agree more. But you know what? He's in a better place. He's looking down upon us. To see how many people he's impacted, it's absolutely incredible. I mean, he's still making a footprint today with the Chip Miller Charitable Foundation. And that makes my family and myself we smile from ear to ear every day. Because life is good, and that's his quote.
Chip's wife, Judy, founded the Chip Miller Charitable Foundation to raise funds for research and education about the disease that took Chip's life. At this year's charity auction at Corvettes at Carlisle, the foundation raised $58,000. Then, at noon on Saturday, thousands of Corvette owners waited for the signal. On cue, they revved their engines in a 15-second tribute to Chip, followed by a moment of silence. It was a roar heard around the fairground. Corvette enthusiasts also remembered Chip with a memorial parade through downtown Carlisle. Those who knew Chip would say he'd be very happy with the turnout at this year's show. C4s, C5s, Fuelings, Roadsters, Convertibles, Coupes, Grand Sports, Z06s, and Racers. They were all here. Racing fans got a good look at the C4s, C5s, and C6s that have burned up the tracks at Le Mans and Sebring over the years. Which is all fine if you came to Corvettes at Carlisle to look. For Corvette owners who actually came to Carlisle to put their cars through its paces, they had plenty of opportunity. On the dyno, on the show field, and during the autocross.
Safe environment, you can't hit anything, you can't hurt yourself. I find that if people try autocrossing like this, they will find that when they're on the highway and somebody pulls out in front of them, they've done a few of these events, they know exactly what their car is going to do and how to handle it, and it's a good way to really feel how great the car is in the driving situation.
We told you Corvettes at Carlisle is where you're going to find everything related to the hobby. Here's more proof. Thousands of vendors. Need a new exhaust system installed?
Orla was the first company to do the installs on exhaust here starting last year. And it was a concept that we had, and we weren't sure if it was going to work properly. So we came down and we gave it an initial try, and the reaction was unbelievable.
You've just seen for yourself why Corvette lovers come to Corvettes at Carlisle. Now, here are a few more reasons.
The love, the passion for the car, and then also there's the people. People just come back, they want to see one another, and that's what it's all about. Just coming here, smiling, having fun. It's just a good time.
Great people, great cars, great fun. Corvette motorheads, we had your time here at Carlisle. Coming up, we're going to take you to the largest reunion of boss cars in collector car history and celebrate the 50th anniversary of the popular Thunderbird. If you're a Blue Oval fan, you won't want to miss the All Ford National. That's next.